Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It's Chelsea at home tomorrow, Sloth, and it's a big game, but how are we going to line up? How would we like to line up? There's a lot of questions. There's a lot of players that could potentially be dropped from the previous game as well, away at Fulham. So yeah, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe, like, all of that jazz. And let's get straight into it. Let's waste no time because we've got 11 players to get through. I've already given one as away with Areola in goal because I don't think we need to go through that too much, but defense. We've got right back, left back, and two centre back options. As of filming, we're not sure if Emerson's going to be fit for this game, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to call. I'm going to say he is. I guess we put Emerson straight in as left back, Sloth.
Yeah, definitely. I think he
Yeah.
has to start there. It will be the best option for link-up play on that left side.
Yeah, it's interesting that. Do you think that his time at Chelsea, obviously, it was short-lived, and when we signed him, it was very much okay. He wasn't even first choice. I think he was like third or fourth choice. Has he surprised you in the last 18 months or so with his ability to play as a left back in a back four?
Yeah, I think we've mostly seen him sort of as a wing back, and it's not necessarily something you associate with Emerson, or you used to associate Emerson in terms of being able to defend or one of his main attributes. So he's really stepped up in that area, and I definitely think it's helped when he's had a much more, say, technically capable left-sided player with him, particularly in Paqueta when he played in that position. But dropping back, and even when Ben Rama did, he was able to link up well with him and make those controls, quick 1-2s, and things that I think really helped us excel on that left side.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There we go. Yeah, it's been a difficult it was a difficult transition when he first came here. He obviously wasn't starting over Cresswell. We were shifting between a back three, back five, etc. But I think since the Conference League final, really, he hasn't looked back. And last season he was consistently producing 7 out of 10 performances until the back end of the year. And yeah, he's definitely. I mean, there isn't much else to say about that position. But more interestingly, we've got right back and the two centre back slots. Obviously, Kilman's going to be the first one to play as left centre back. Todibo or Mavropanos as the other centre back. I think that's the one that's going to be a big call for Lopetegui going into this match on Saturday, because we haven't seen much of Todibo, but we know that Mavropanos hasn't been great this season, and he was very poor against Fulham, kind of culpable for one of the goals there as well. So does Todibo come in for you, Sloth, or do you stick with Mavropanos in the back four?
I'd go with Todibo. I think, look, he wasn't great against Bournemouth. I think he did some things quite well, and it was clear that he didn't quite look up to the pace. But I think now you've kind of got to say to him, look, this is your chance. And
what can we expect from Todibo? Because it was such a big signing. It was something we broke down on the channel as well and said, this is a fantastic deal to get done. Where's the settling in period? Is that grace period almost gone for Todibo now? And because of how defensively susceptible we've been so far, I think our XG against is over 10 in 4 games, which is pretty high. Granted, we've played Man City and some other tough opponents, but for someone like Todibo, who's coming in with the quality he has and the difficulty it had getting that deal done, are you surprised it's taken this long for us to see him integrated into that starting 11?
Not really. I think it was a case of his fitness, and by all accounts, it wasn't that he didn't train because he forced himself a move. But I think there was enough question marks over that he wasn't always training. I know he did play, but it's one of those things where I think if you're looking to get a new move to a club, you want to establish yourself. And Mavropanos has been here for a little bit longer. And while he's not necessarily impressed, I think that maybe Lopetegui is thinking in terms of just holding off putting in Todibo till he can get to kind of what he feels is full fitness or around that mark. Personally, for me, though, I think Mavropanos has made silly errors And I would be saying to Todibo, this is your time to try and, just step into that place and make it yours now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think he has to play now. I don't think there's a reason not to play him. I wasn't particularly impressed by his performance against Bournemouth, to be honest. I know he only played 45 minutes in that cup game, and as you say, he's still getting up to speed. But yeah, for the type of signing it was, I think he has to start. And because of how, you know, not he's not been ridiculously bad, but Mavropanos isn't consistent enough, and he isn't good enough for me to play in that back line consistently throughout the whole Premier League season. And when you've got someone like Todibo on the bench, you have to play him. We have to give him the minutes now to get up to that speed. And Wan-Bissaka over Kufau, is that kind of an easy one to do for now, Sloth?
Yeah, I mean, if we see another performance like we did against Fulham, then it would be up for question. But since it was just a one-off,
Yeah.
like it's very hard to drop someone from that. I'd say Aaron Wan-Bissaka.
Right, midfield three. This is tough because we obviously started against Fulham with Guido, Edson, and Souček. Obviously, Paqueta's coming back into that midfield. It's just whether we start both Guido and Edson Alvarez in that midfield double pivot with Paqueta in there. Is that what you would do, given the options we currently have, or would you like to see something different?
I think I'd start them as that double pivot. I think, especially if you think about Viega and potentially Caicedo, Viega's a very, very good footballer. They just signed him from Basel, and he's a physical powerhouse, but also technically very strong. And I feel like Caicedo has completely underwhelmed in his time at Chelsea. I know people like to stick up for him, but I think that particularly with the money they paid, he is massively underperforming for that price tag. And I don't feel like if we have three mobile centre mids, I don't feel like we'll have any issues with him. So
is it mobile enough with Guido, Alvarez, and Paqueta if that is the midfield three? I know we spoke about a lot in the preview how Chelsea line up, and Cole Palmer's almost a number 10, so it really is a double pivot, like you say, if Caicedo and Viega in there in that midfield. We can physically dominate them, but is there enough mobility, especially because Chelsea have some really good technical players between the lines, and we're going to have to be switched on to that as well.
Yeah, look, I think the only player in there that doesn't really have the pace, or we haven't seen the pace yet, is Guido, but that's not his game. He's not there to cover ground in terms of sprints per 90. He is there because he's very comfortable on the ball. He will give you great link up play and passing, and he will get stuck in. And to be honest, that is kind of what you want, particularly with, I think we've seen more and more Alvarez is willing to kind of take an extra step out of that DM role, and not quite to the extent that Declan Rice was. Well, not nearly to the extent that Declan Rice was, but he is willing to carry it. And I think that when you combine that with the work rate of Paqueta, that is potentially a very good three. So I don't really worry about that. I think if we can make that three the starting lineup going forward and bring Souček off the bench, I think that is going to be a real trump card for us.
What about someone like Carlos Soler? I know it's early days for him in his West Ham career. Is there any potential way he could start this match for you, or is he going to be a substitute for this game?
Still too early for me, I think.
Yeah.
Look, he got stuck in, and
a bit too much.
We can debate whether he should have had a red card. I personally don't think he should have, but I think it's too early for a start. And if Lopetegui's only easing Todibo in, then he's definitely not going to put Soler as a starter, is he?
No, he's not. He doesn't get in over that midfield three anyway. If we are going to play it, but I think the key thing is we can't play Souček in this game. It's not the game for him at all. I'm probably going to eat my words. He's going to score the winner now, but definitely not starting in that midfield three in terms of what we need to do. Because as you say, we mentioned it in our preview, Chelsea will play between the lines, and Cole Palmer is a massive threat in that number 10 position. So if you've got Alvarez and Guido scanning that space, it's going to negate a little bit of what he can do. And then you've got that Paqueta to, creativity just in front. But I think The only concern with that midfield is the mobility, and the kind of transition threat. Is
I
where
don't
does the mobility
know.
come from there?
I think you've got Paqueta and you've got Alvarez there. Like as
I
I
don't
said,
think they're particularly mobile though.
I don't know. I think Paqueta gets stuck in. Paqueta can
He gets
carry the
stuck
ball.
in, but he's not particularly mobile.
I don't know about that. Like he's
It'd be
not.
easy. It'd be easy to get round Paqueta, or
Yeah,
outpace Alvarez.
yeah, but it's what they offer otherwise. Like I think it's it's not going to be easy to get around Suchek, but that's at the risk of a yellow card, or it's also in the fact that you're not accounting for what limitations he has otherwise. So I don't think that Carlos Soler, although he's more agile and he is a bit quicker, I don't think that he's ready to go in.
No.
And if you're talking about Suchek, well, I mean, I have a theory that if you're going to play him, you might as well just put him in a back five because
Yeah.
he doesn't have the technical ability to be in a midfield at the moment. At this point in the Premier League, particularly against a better side. But I think as a
Yeah.
defender or like aerially, if you just ask him to throw himself at something, he'll
Mhm.
ace it for you. I
Yeah.
don't think in a battle against Viega, like Viega is a big old unit as well. And I think that, to be honest, Suchek was so anonymous against Fulham that
Mhm.
he shouldn't be in the running to start.
Agreed.
So, although I think, throw him on off the bench, particularly if we're looking for a goal, if you just say to him, look, go and run around, go and chase it for
Mhm.
30 minutes, what an option to have. But it's the limitations he has otherwise that I think against Chelsea could well tear you apart.
Yeah, no, I agree. Front three is probably the toughest to predict or call how it's going to line up for me. Obviously, we spoke about Antonio last week, and his performances so far this season haven't been good enough. We both feel like Antonio shouldn't be starting this game. So, who does play that central striker role for yourself? Because there's only really a few candidates. You can play Kudus there as the number 9, which I wouldn't do. You can play obviously Danny Ings there, who got a goal against Fulham, but then that's playing him as the solo striker. We don't know if Fulcrook's going to be fit enough for this game. It may be that he's fit, so if he is, I guess he goes straight in there. And then for me, the last one is Jared Bowen, who I would play striker. What are your thoughts? Who would you be playing for striker for this game?
I mean, I think I'd probably put Bowen in the middle, put Bowen central, and I know that negates the sort of cut in that he can provide from that right hand side, but I think Kudus is going to get stuck in on that right hand side. He will
Mhm.
give you an outlet, and he will give you work rate on that right hand side. And I'm not saying that Bowen doesn't, but I think Bowen will give you a bit more of a defensive workhorse, even down that middle.
Mhm.
And say we go with Somerville on that left hand side, we know he's going to get stuck in as well. I think it gives you a really mobile front three and also potentially versatile one. You can make those changes in games, and I think that they will be more than happy to do that as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that is the way to go. And we kind of touched it on there. So left and right wing, it's obviously going to be Kudus on the right hand side if we're playing Bowen striker. So for you, do you want to see Somerville come in that left wing position? Do you think he warrants a start for this game, given his impact against Fulham?
I think he looked sharp against Fulham when he came on. I know he some people felt that he kind of was a bit wasteful, but I think that he showed enough work rate and ability on the ball to cause problems. And I think when you combine that with the pace he has, you know, it's undoubtable that there's a player there, and he now just needs to apply himself. And where better to do that than in a London derby? You're on mute. You're on mute, mate.
There we go. Yeah, I was just going to say, with obviously what we mentioned in the preview, Kudus on that right hand side in transition could be huge for us, especially because he's a ball carrier, and Chelsea used that inverted system with Cucurella coming and playing in midfield. That right hand side, and getting very excited about what we could do on that right hand side against Chelsea on Saturday. And yeah, as you said, Somerville 100% deserves to start. He's really that kind of out and out left winger that we have at the moment. We don't really have another left winger. Obviously, Kudus can play out there, but that negates his strengths. He's definitely better on the right hand side, and he deserves to start. I think if we had this starting 11 against Chelsea, I think everyone would be pretty happy with it. And I don't think there'd be too many arguments. And maybe Fulcrook, if he's going to be fit, he would come in. But then I feel like we'd probably play Kudus on the left and some of it would drop out. So I actually quite like this. I like the fluidity of that front three, the assurance of the midfield. And then it's a test for Todibo coming into that back line as well. So you happy with this lineup, Sloth? Would you be happy to see this, say, 11:15 a.m. on a Saturday announced?
I think this would be my ideal setup, and I'd be really happy with that. My worry is that we're going to stick with Antonio and Souček, and
Agreed.
I think if that happens, then there's going to be a lot of criticism of Lopetegui, and particularly if we don't start well, or if we fall behind, I think it could turn a bit volatile.
I think he's more likely to start Antonio than Souček, just because I think Paqueta will come back into the midfield and he won't want to drop Guido and Alvarez if he's playing them in a double pivot. I think, as you say, with Antonio, because Fulcrook's injured and he doesn't want to play Danny Ings as a solo striker, I think he might stick with Antonio. I just think he has a little bit of a soft spot for Antonio. Obviously, tried to sign him a few years ago at Wolves, and I'd be disappointed if Antonio starts.
Yeah, I think you could well be right there. I definitely wouldn't be, I wouldn't be too disappointed if Antonio does start. He does tend to do well in these London derbies or against Chelsea, but I just think that with the way he's played, he's underperformed so much. Hopefully he's been saved himself for this game, but I just think it's, in terms of form, in terms of performances, he doesn't deserve to start.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it comes down to, if we are going to play Antonio striker, it's likely going to be Kudus on the left, Bowen on the right. I'd rather see Kudus on the right for this matchup against Chelsea as well. So, yeah, that's how we'd want to see us start this match. I'm guessing we'll know in less than 24 hours of this video going out whether we were bang on, or whether Lopetegui's decided to go with something else and cook something differently up for Chelsea on Saturday. But yeah, let us know down below in the comments, what do you want to see your XI starting 11 to be against Chelsea on Saturday? Because there are a few options and there's a few big decisions that he's going to have to make going into this London derby. First home London derby as well, under Lopetegui. So yeah, big game. Hopefully we get the 3 points and hopefully we see some changes to the lineup that we'd like to see. Leave a like on the video as always, subscribe to the channel, and Sloth, till the next one.
Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.